How are we doing? Oh, Jesus. How are we doing, everybody? Welcome back to the Sean Atwood channel. I'm Ron Swanson. We are here with Jill Dodd, and we are going to be diving into her life, her book, and everything with her ex and the revelations that tie him to certain individuals who we will touch on later. But before we get into that, right, Jill, obviously, thank you for being here. We were just having a quick discussion there about male models. And before we get into your introduction, who you are, can you just tell me what you were telling me about New York?
Okay, Ron, my dog is barking. Let
That's
me
okay.
stop her.
That's okay. You go and do that. I'll segue back to myself.
Let me stop her.
That's okay. This is showbiz, ladies and gentlemen, live showbiz, as you can see right here. Listen, I'll be honest with everybody. It's been an interesting year for Ronald. I'm really considering doing a live stream after this over on my channel just to sort of connect with everyone and have a chat. Next members night is planned. We're going to be making our community Christmas album. Yes, with Suno, the AI music generator. It's going to be fire. Oh, look at the doggo. There we go. Yeah, come be part of it, little guy. It's okay.
Yeah. Oh, there's people out front, like construction people, and she just wants to go say hello to everyone.
Well, listen, that's okay. She can come and join us. We're glad to have her.
Thank you.
And obviously, Jill, it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
And one of the things that gets loads of coverage, and one of the things that even another one of our guests, Barbara, touched on this. It's not just women who are at danger; it's men. And you were talking about something just before the show that I'd like to just have you touch on, and then we'll get into your introduction if you don't mind.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I just was asking you if you'd heard of the Model Alliance, because they work with all models, male and female, and they have a 800 number that people can report crimes or being not being paid or being sexually harassed or whatever it is. And Sarah Ziff is the founder, and she was able to pass a law in New York called I think it's called the Fashion Act.
Okay.
Which protects so many people in the fashion business. But she was working with a group of women who had been raped by Gerald Marie, including me, when we were doing a documentary. And it was like 3 years leading up to this documentary. And anyway, Sarah Ziff is amazing.
Yeah.
She knows everything that's happened, and she's a former model also, and was assaulted as well.
Yeah, it's incredibly tragic how many of these stories come out of the modeling industry. And I just wanted to touch on that, Jill. So thank you very much. But Jill, listen, how are you? Introduce yourself. Obviously, your book, The Currency of Love, tells your whole story. I'm sure a few of our viewers have already dived into the pages of that. But for those of you who may not know, introduce yourself and let us know who you are.
Okay. Well, I'm Jill. I grew up in LA, like really near downtown LA. And my dream was to be a fashion designer. And I fell into modeling accidentally at 17 and became an assistant designer at a swimwear company in downtown LA in the garment business. And I wanted to go to FITM, which is the Fashion Institute in LA, but I didn't have the money and my parents wouldn't pay for it. So I started modeling by accident. The company I was working for was doing a photo shoot, and I went to fit the models into the appropriate suits, and the photographer wanted me in a suit. He says, "Why aren't you in a suit?" So he fired one girl and put me in. And then I was thinking, well, geez, I can make a lot more money this way than $4.25 an hour at my other job.
Sure, I know, unbelievable. And you said you were 17, right? So, I mean, at that age, any sort of whisper of more money or an easier life and the glam and the fame and all of that, I mean, it must have been like, hell yeah.
I wanted independence. It wasn't so much the fame.
Sure.
I wanted to be free. I wanted to be able to move out and like just be independent and not depend on anyone financially.
Yeah, no, I 100%. Can I just say this is one of the most quintessentially early 90s, late 80s images I've ever seen in my life. Like it just completely captivates that era in a
It's
nutshell.
funny, the eyeliner,
It's the backlit head with the little bits of hair, right? I don't know what
yeah.
that's it's
Oh,
mad.
that's funny.
It
Yeah.
just
Oh
seems
my
like such
God.
an era like way of
It's
doing things.
true. That's
Uh,
hilarious. Yeah,
my
that was
mum
funny.
was in fashion for years, window dressing, fashion shows, and modeling and stuff
Oh,
like this. And she's got a
oh,
picture of herself where it's the backlit and things like this, and it's just
yeah.
like iconic shot.
Yeah.
Uh,
I have a few of them. I even have some with like neon behind
right,
me.
I've got a nice selection. Some are so 90s. Some of the magazine shoots from the 90s are just like iconic. They
Yeah.
really are, like
Yeah.
the thick squiggly lines and neon orange and stuff like this. It was like it was an interesting one. But
Yeah.
what was it like? You're 17, you wanted to be in design, you got this opportunity to go down a different road. And how quickly did it all snowball for you? I mean, how quickly was it before it went from manageable to whoa, what is happening here?
Oh, okay. So you mean the modeling
Yeah,
business
the
or?
modeling side of things, and then we'll take
Yeah.
that up until where you met your ex.
Well, it went slow. It was, real life is more slow motion
Okay.
than a story. Um, so I worked in LA for like a year and a half, I think it was. And then my French agent, Gerald Marie, came to my Wilhelmina models that was my agency in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And he chose me as a model to come to Paris. And my agency said, you need to go to Paris, get the editorial from the French magazines. And then the next step is to go to New York and do editorial in the American fashion magazines that are all located in New York City. So that's the goal, because when you get to New York and you do the editorial in the fashion magazines, then you have a chance to get a makeup contract or like Calvin Klein contract or
Yeah.
Armani contract. So that's where you can make more money than just doing editorial or catalog work.
Yeah, it's the gateway to it's the next
Yeah,
level.
right.
It's the rungs on the ladder, you know.
Exactly.
Um,
So that's why I went to Paris, was to get those photographs, and I planned on going only for like a month or two.
sure.
But a month or two turned into close to a year. And during that time, I got sidetracked.
Yeah, everything I would say sidetracked is definitely one way for putting it. And what was this around was it in Paris that you met? Is it Adnan? Is that how we pronounce his name?
Adnan, yeah.
Okay.
I met him in Monte Carlo,
Okay.
south of France. My agent brought me there. Pamela. I call her Pepper in my book, but her name is Pamela, or was
And
Pamela.
I mean, what is like a billionaire arms dealer put on his business card? Like what does it say, right? Because I mean it's just it can't just be arms dealer, right? It must be something else, right? I mean,
Yeah.
how were you introduced to him?
Well, nobody told me anything about what he did.
Right. Okay. I wondered that.
No, nothing. No, I was just, I was taken, I stayed at a hotel called the Lowe's Hotel overlooking the Mediterranean. I found out later that Adnan owned the hotel. And Pamela and I shared a room. And like, I don't know how long we were there, but it might have been the first night. We were invited to a party at La Pirate, which is this pirate themed restaurant overlooking the Mediterranean.
Okay.
And we met a bunch of people downstairs, and one of them was, I call him Dominic in the book, but his name is Victor Denenza. It's funny because Paul Anka knew these people from Las Vegas, and I actually met Paul Anka, the singer, in Las Vegas. But Paul Anka, in his memoir, wrote about Victor, and he also wrote about Dodi Fayed, who was, I think, Adnan's nephew. So anyway, Victor Denenza, Victor's wife, Anna, and a bunch of beautiful people were all down in the lobby. We went in, got in the back of a limo, and we were taken to this restaurant overlooking the Mediterranean. and it was crazy. It was like Gypsy Kings type music. There were pirates hanging from ropes. They were shirtless with tattoos. At that time, it was unusual. And they had like big jewelry. They all just looked like pirates with long hair, kind of like the Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Right.
And
which
so,
is now, which by the way, is now one of the most insane parts of this story is the billionaires hanging out at the pirate themed restaurant in Monte Carlo. Right. I just want to say, right. Like, just want to put that out there.
Yeah, it was great though. And I always was ready to have a good time. I love concerts. I love people. I'm really social.
I mean, keep in mind as well, you were what, 2021 by this time?
No, I was 20. Yeah,
20.
20.
20, yeah. So, I mean, of course you would be. I mean, especially
I was having so much fun.
3 years beforehand, you were a normal girl, aspirations of this, that, and the next. You've been pulled into a new career. You're now out in Paris. I mean, this sounds, up until it all hits the fan, this sounds incredible, right?
Well, you know, if you read my book, you'll see it wasn't all incredible. I mean, in Los Angeles, I was sent to, well, with my first agent, who I didn't know used to be the agent for the Playboy model agency, which was the porno magazine. So it was Judith Fontaine agency. And she was my first agent, and she would send me to pimps' houses in Hollywood. And I could tell, because you would go in and there's these like 70s looking guys, we're all tan and low cut shirts. And behind them were pictures of all of these women, like normal, beautiful young women, not models. And they wanted to prey upon me to use as a like high priced hooker.
Damn. And like this is so recurring in so many stories, right?
Tell me about it.
But how do they still get away with it all? I mean, is it just,
it's ridiculous.
Because I mean, it just seems
ridiculous. I'm so triggered by sexual assault and by men, certain type of men, that even now, and I'm 66, and I can't believe that even now when I go to the grocery store, and it's always old men of a certain generation that feel like it's okay to just stare at me. And they just like, you know, they'll just like stop their shopping cart and just like stare at me, watching me put my stuff in the car, or they're walking with their wife and they're just like, and I'm going to start like certain times in my life, I've gotten so fed up with it that I would just go over to them and say, do you have a problem? Why are you staring at me? What is your problem? We stop looking at me.
You need to get a little sign that you pull out, right? So when they're staring at you pull out the little sign, and it's like, have you had a good look enough now? Because just to make sure that it's not like a long focus. Maybe they've got like really bad cataracts, right? And they're trying to focus in on you, and you're just a blur.
Like, I think I'm a blur.
You could be a blur, right? They could be like, what is that? Is that Susan? Is that Susan from 20 years ago? And they're staring and they're trying to focus. But if you've got a little sign to hold up and just sort of lift it up,
oh my God, I love
make eye contact with it and see if they stop. If you hold up a sign and they don't stop, this is a medical thing. Okay, this is they ain't looking at you. They don't know what they're looking at. They are just.
Oh my God, I would love that. Well, one guy last week, he was probably like in his 50s. But even guys in their 50s, maybe he was my age in his 60s, but he had just worked out. He was disgusting and like really upset me for like the whole day. But with him, I thought I should have taken out my phone and gone up and taken a picture of him and said, you know, how do you like that?
Another one. Why don't you start interviewing them? Why don't you walk up with your phone out and be like, hi, this is for TikTok. You've been staring at me for about 90 seconds now. Can I just ask you why? And just see their reactions, because you want to weaponize it against them. You want to weaponize it against them in a way where you take away all of the power. You know?
I love that.
100%.
And they do it with their wife. And so like, I could also say, what would you say if they're like with their wife? What would you say?
Yeah, even better. 100%. 100%. It's wild to think though, that like, carry on with your story. Like I say, I mean, this was, you were saying that you get triggered from sexual assault, and obviously when men have this predatory gaze and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So where were we?
Well, we were going back to you were explaining how it wasn't such a nice time.
Oh,
There
it
were
wasn't
these
easy.
perverts, and then we both got
Correct.
triggered, and then my ADHD sidetracked us. So we're pulled it back, ladies and gentlemen.
Mine
We're pulled
too.
it back.
Okay,
So
so in LA, I had experiences of, I had one guy lock me in his office. It was supposedly a modeling interview, but he locked me in his office, and then the guy behind the desk that locked me in, I looked at the pictures behind him and it didn't match. And I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't the guy in those pictures. This guy is using the executive's office. And then he wouldn't let me out, but he asked me to, he wanted to see me in a bathing suit, and he wanted to know if I'd go to Vegas with him. And, I really got angry, and I just said, unlock the door. And I got him to unlock the door. And then I, bolted out of there. But in LA, there was a lot of that. I mean, it's Hollywood, it was very sketchy. And you never knew where you were going for an interview. And Judith didn't care. I mean, she would send me anywhere. She would say, oh God, it was gnarly. But then got a commercial, a national commercial for Sprite. And I met a girl there who was also a model. We had kind of a similar look. We were similar age. And I said, who's your agent? I told her what I was going through. And she said, Wilhelmina. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try to go with them. And she said, it's much better. So I switched to Wilhelmina and didn't have that problem anymore. They were more reputable. And so the interviews were safer. But then when I got to France, I dealt with the same thing. The agency would, it was different. The agency Paris Planning would send me to parties and insist that I go. And I would go to these parties at night in these mansions, and it was just a bunch of old men. And so I'm sure that they were paid to stalk parties with old men. It's like you call up EPSTIEN or whoever, but it was my modeling agent at that time, call up the agency, and they would send a bunch of models to your party. And I'm sure they were getting paid, obviously, to do that.
Atmospheric modeling, I believe they call it.
It's what?
Atmospheric modeling, they call it, I believe, when you've got pretty girls just dotted around places and all that. It's atmospheric modeling or something.
Yeah, that's what they wanted us to do.
And weird though. I mean, it's different if it's a huge event that's being filmed and you want, pretty people handing out champagne and all that. I get that. But a private mansion party with a bunch of old dudes is...
Exactly. That we're just finishing a business meeting because men from all over the world. And you could tell they spoke all different languages. And then it graduated to, wait, let me back up. But like you said, some of the parties were fun. And I did get to go to a few industry parties that were all fashion people and models and photographers. And that was fun. I mean, I wanted to go to those parties. I thought I could make connections, So, but even those were dangerous because if you I got a ride home from somebody and he fully assaulted me in the car, and then he wedged his way into my hotel room and ripped my clothes off, and I had to cut him off. So it was pretty lawless in Paris, very lawless.
Damn.
Yeah.
So nothing at all was nice then. Let's be honest. I totally got that wrong. It sounds like just the most horrific road to Paris. Brilliant. Just wild. And the sad thing when you talk about how you were expected to be these high-end escorts, so that's what you thought in your mind, right? When you were getting sent to these places. It's the same thing. I mean, there was one of the Pussycat dolls turned down millions of pounds of a contract because she said that they were just getting passed around these elites and she just didn't want to be part of it. And that's what, I mean, they were the top as you can get for entertainment. This goes from every single layer. There is predatory elements to young girls modeling. It's scary. It's really scary.
It goes back. There's a guy who wrote a book, Michael Gross. He wrote a book about the history of modeling. And this practice goes back hundreds of years because it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Men are stronger than women, and they want to prey upon women, unfortunately, and not all men, but lots of them. But if you look at some of the old, like I think it's Degas, Edgar Degas paintings, where he painted the ballerinas, and in the background you can see the man in the top hat, and those were the men that were supporting the ballerinas.
The patrons.
Yes. So this has been going on forever.
Yeah.
But his book is really good because it does tell the history of this kind of shady behavior.
It's wild. Okay, so let's fast forward now to meeting Adnan.
Wait, let me tell you one more thing.
Sure, please do.
The model agency took almost all of our money from our jobs.
Oh, God.
So say we were going to make, $2,000 in a day. Well, 50% of that went to French taxes, and either 20 or 25% of it, I can't remember which, went to the agency. So we were left with about 25% of our earnings. Right. But then you find out that you have to pay back your plane ticket that they brought you there with. Okay. That was super expensive, and I never would have booked that flight myself. I would have gotten something cheap. And then the hotel that they put us in the beginning was a dump, but they said it was super expensive. So I had to pay that money back too. So they try to keep you in debt, and so that you never have enough money to be free.
How is that not trafficking? Like, how is that not like as just enough over this edge of
survival?
It's not even like it's
we were barely able to eat, most of the girls. So you have the 1%.
Is that by design though? Is that by design? Is that to keep you in a state of desperation?
Totally. Yeah? Every single girl that's in the group that I'm in, we all have the same story, all of us. And it's crazy because I used to, after the whole Adnan thing and realizing what had happened to me, I used to beat myself up and be so ashamed and just be like, how could I be so stupid? How come I didn't know? But all of us felt that way. And so many of us didn't even tell anyone what happened. We didn't tell anyone we were raped by him. We didn't tell anyone what happened. It had been buried by shame. Sexual abuse has this effect of making the victim feel shamed, which I don't even understand how that works, but it works. It's super common.
You just got me thinking about it all because, you say to yourself, you have this shame. How could it have happened? Well, you were 20, right? When was the last time you went to a 20-year-old for life advice? Right?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Young.
We don't make great decisions is what I'm saying, right?
Right.
And unless you're an American politician, no one goes to advice for anyone over the age of 80, unless you're in power in America, of course, because they love a geriatric leader. Big shout out to the Americans.
They sure do. I voted for Pete Buttigieg.
Listen, I just think it's the world's a funny place. But, you obviously were really talented. I mean, your photos are great. And, it's sad because there must be endless amounts of talent who are just broken along the way by the predatory madness that seems to lurk in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And then there are the 1%, like the Cindy Crawfords of the world, who they make it, and they're insulated from this because they're making a lot of money on the big makeup contracts and things like that. So the agency does not do this to them. They only do it to the 99% of us that were just the average models.
The fodder, really.
Yeah.
That's wild. And totally a bit off sidetrack, right? Because obviously the internet, social media sort of changed the game for women and men who are trying to break out into modeling and things like this. And a lot of time people get criticized, Instagram models, all of this, but I mean, it's quite I'm not saying in every way, shape, or form, but what's your opinion on that? Because it must be a lot safer, being able to take selfies of yourself and to get a bit of an income than to go through the traditional methods. It must be scary here, because if I'm 20 years old and I'm a girl and I look fire and I'm getting ready for a modeling career, and there's 20,000 hours of testimonials like yours out there.
Yeah.
I'm looking for alternative means.
Right.
What's your take?
Right.
Give me what's your take on that?
Yeah, I probably would have gone that route if I had that ability. Definitely, because then you can take it into your own hands more and be an influencer or whatever.
Right?
I would have probably done that for sure. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
gone the agent route.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the other side of the coin. So, whereas you were exposed to horrible old men in mansions and weird private parties and eccentric billionaires who are just so beyond charming, the new risk, of course, is a small number under your name on a social media platform, 10, 20,000 subscribers. And we talk about it all the time on this channel about parents needing to understand the new concept of fame and where people can get sucked into. Because I would imagine that there's just as many horror stories from the new concept as there is to the old. But Jill,
And the other
yep,
thing, what about dating on Tinder and Hinge?
I'm going to
That's
be honest
super
with you.
dangerous.
I'm going to be honest with you. Last relationship I was in before the one I was in lasted 12 and a half years. There was no dating apps. And
Yeah.
my current partner was the first person I matched with basically on the first time I used Tinder. So I completed it in one swipe.
Congratulations.
Completed it, mate.
Good
Completed
for
it in one
you.
swipe.
Yeah.
But yeah, the horror stories, anywhere you've access to women or vulnerable people, you're always going to have the allure by the creeps. It's the same with fun fairs and teaching and nurseries for people that prey on kids. It's just access. And individuals like Epstein, like your ex, like any powerful individual with a taste for something is gonna get it. And
yeah.
admin, of course, is really where things start to get a bit mad for you. I'd quite imagine. 20 years old, this billionaire takes a massive interest in you. Your head must have been spinning for a start. 20-year-old me met a billionaire woman who tried to seduce me. I would have made every terrible decision under the sun, Jill. Okay.
Well, okay. First of all, I didn't know who he was, and I didn't know he was a billionaire. I didn't even know. Like, how would I know? There was no internet. I had no idea who he was. None. All I could go from was what he told me.
Okay. And how did that?
So
how
I
did
didn't
it
know anything.
Take us through the initial meeting, how it all went down. Obviously,
and let me back up a little
sure,
bit too.
Please do. Yeah, please do.
And so many of us were raised in homes that were not ideal.
Okay.
If you were abused or neglected by one or both parents, as a woman or a man, you have a higher chance of being fooled into these things, because especially with sexual abuse for some reason as a child, it makes that child more naive and more trusting because they don't know right from wrong and their boundaries have been broken. They don't understand boundaries because their parents or parent has bulldozed them down.
Yeah.
So they don't get the flashing light of like, oh, this is dangerous. This is dangerous. They don't have that. They're like, oh, this feels familiar. And then, like, even in my case, I was looking back or thinking back recently, and my dad he was obsessed with pornography and women's bodies, and for some unknown reason, I don't even get it, but he felt like he needed to share that with me from the time I was little. And my parents engaged in all manner of inappropriate activities in front of me. I mean, not the final sex act, but way too much. Anyone would say that it was very, very sick. And it affected me a lot. And then also, they were physically abusive, especially my dad. And really, he was this macho fireman. And he was very, looking back, physically abusive, verbally abusive. My mom was neglectful. She didn't want to be a mother. She would hide from me. I wasn't allowed to touch her, hug her. There was never a "I love you." So it was a very unloving home, and a home filled with my dad's obsession with sex. And he chased my mom around like she was a squirrel, like a cat with a mouse, just chasing her. And she just allowed us to see all this too. She put up with it. And so, and then as I became when I went through puberty, my dad spoke openly with his fireman friends at the fire department about how my breasts were changing right in front of me. And then we would go to car shows. We fixed up vintage cars together. And he would encourage me to talk with, he'd go, "Why don't you go talk to that guy? He looks like a nice guy." And so I'd go over and talk to this guy. Turned out he was like 36 and I was 15 or 16.
Okay.
And I started dating him because my dad liked him. So my dad was encouraging me in dating older men. And luckily I dated a lot of nice, well, not a lot, but I dated a few nice older men, but I also dated guys my own age, had boyfriends and stuff, all the normal thing. But what I'm saying is that when you grow up in a home that's messed up, you're going to be more apt to wind up in these situations. Because if you're coming from a loving home that you feel safe, and maybe even your mom comes with you to Paris to make sure that you're safe. Like I have one of my girlfriends, her mom came with her, to the agency. They weren't going to mess with her, but they knew that I was on my own and I was poor and, so yeah, you fall into these things more when you've been abused as a child or neglected. And I didn't have a loving mom at all. And then, the sexual abuse. So you don't know right and wrong. You're just like trying to find your way in the world. So I think so many victims are just re-victimized because of what they were set up with as a child.
Yeah.
So that really needs to be fixed. But
Yeah, I've listened to a lot of doctors talk about why this happens, right? And it's very much in some people's opinions where if the people that are meant to be the most trusted and most central and most loving figures in your life show their love for you this way, then you fall back into it because on a weird subconscious level, that's what you associate with that love.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
it sounds almost insulting to say out loud.
But it's true.
But
and even people who are
prominent.
beaten, like they're confused because
Right.
that's what happened at home. So even though they know that it's bad, it takes them a long time to untangle why they're
right
comfortable in this.
And it's like wiring. It's like the wires that go into the brain from a normal, loving, nurtured childhood compared to a traumatic one. It's crazy. And
Yeah.
obviously it's horrific to hear what you went through, Jill. And
I am still dealing with it. It's gnarly. I'm writing a second book about my fashion design career and how I started ROXY and why I left. I'm going to tell that story for the first time, and I'm going to name names. But I also went through 2 abusive marriages as a young woman. Quick, I got out as fast as I could, but I had a baby with both men, with 2 of those men.
Bam.
So I was a single mother leaving an abusive marriage twice. And then I started going to therapy to try to, delve into all of this. And then, another thing happened with another job, and I ended up with major PTSD and major depression. And I was reading that part of my story because I'd already written this book back in 2016. So I was editing it and thinking of publishing it, but I'm not going to publish that stuff. It's just too dark. And I don't want to relive it either. So I'm going to focus on just the fashion business.
How in the hell do you have the capability to trust anyone at this point, Jill? Because
I have to know that for a really long time.
Mum, dad, exes, husbands, it's every pillar that should be trust, love.
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah.
Well, I've been married now for 28 years, I think, to a guy that I met back when I was still with Adnan. Yeah. I met him at church.
Okay.
My first husband brought me to this church, and that's where I met my current husband. So we knew each other from way back then, and we got married when we were in our late 30s, and we have a child together too. And he is somebody I can trust. And I always tell him, if you do anything that makes me not trust you, I think I'm gonna like lose it. Because
so you've been married for 28 years now to your current husband. Is that what you're saying? But you met him at the same time you met Adnan. So this is
after Adnan. Like I was still with Adnan.
Okay.
It wasn't the beginning. It was but I was still involved with Adnan when I met my husband.
So all I'm saying, guys, is when you think to yourself, I've not got the courage to go and talk to that girl, sometimes you're saving them from two potential traumatic husbands and then them marrying you.
It's so true, because the nice guys don't come up to you.
Right. So all I'm saying is
that prey on you.
Right. You just sometimes be like, hey, just so you know, I'm a nice guy. Seen this podcast with this girl called Jill. And if her husband had just talked to her like 20 years ago, there would have been a whole bunch of drama that would not have happened. Okay.
It's so true. But the other part was that I was so messed up still and so damaged from my childhood that I didn't feel comfortable with the nice guy. It was like somehow eerily not comfortable. And
because it's unknown.
I dated lots of great guys, but I couldn't get into a serious romantic relationship. Well, I did get into serious romantic relationships with some nice guys, but with several guys I dated, it's almost like, you had to be pushy to get me, because I had so many guys after me, and I don't know what it was that I looked like, smelled like, or what, but it was like the pushiest one got the date, which is sick.
The narcissistic mindset that comes with this confidence is what makes the narcissist and the charming so difficult to, I mean, some narcissists are charming, but I mean, nice, charming, confident individuals. It must be difficult to separate the two. And I can tell you now, the narcissists way outweigh the nice guys who've got confidence to come and talk to people a lot of the time.
Yeah,
so,
100%.
Yeah,
and that's what happened. So, and especially because my parents, I don't know that they were narcissists, but they treated me in a narcissistic way, in that nothing that I wanted mattered. No, I had no opinion. I couldn't have opinion on what I ate, on what I did. I mean, so to have a guy come in and like take control was so similar to my childhood. And the narcissist has such a need to be seen with a tall, beautiful woman, because take Trump, for example, with Melania. Okay. If Trump was standing there with Ivana, his original wife, people would be like, look at this old couple. She can hardly walk. He can his hands are bruised, but he stands there with this beautiful young woman, which legitimizes him a little bit and makes him look younger.
I'm with you.
So I think a lot of narcissistic men believe that they're going to be like, they'll go into a room with me or another model back when we were younger, and everybody turns around. And then they look at me, and then they look at the guy, and they're like, who's he? How did he get her?
Yeah.
And it's a total
basically young, attractive women are the Birkins of the rich man world. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's be honest. They are the Birkins.
Yeah. So the nice guys really do need to communicate with the beautiful girl to save her from these guys.
Listen, nice guys, you are doing You're doing God's work, okay, by just simply asking the attractive ladies if they would like to go out on a normal date with you, okay? Hashtag nice guys, all right?
Yeah,
I'm just saying. So
I know. I
it's
agree.
wild.
I
It is
agree.
wild. But listen, big shout out to your husband, okay?
Yeah,
Because
I
he's a
know.
very small demographic of men. Most of the men you're going to hear about tonight, not so nice. So big shout out to your husband.
My son's a good man too. My son is
A
a
big
good
shout
man.
out to your son as well. All the good men out
And
there.
my daughter's husband is a good man.
And your daughter's husband. Big shout
Woo!
out to all the good men and the doggo. Big shout out to the doggo as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. So I just want to say to everybody as well, people keep telling me to shut up and stop interrupting. Okay. Jill and I are having a conversation. Okay. She said
Why would
before
they
the
do
interview,
that?
they do it all the time. Okay. I've been saving them all so that I can shame them all at the end of the interview. Okay. Some guests enjoy the conversation. Okay. And, you know, sometimes when a guest stops speaking and they look at you, that's them cueing you to react to what they've said. I don't know if any of you have had any media training, but that's kind of how it works. Okay. So I'm just letting you all know.
I prefer conversation.
I prefer conversations too, but a lot of people just tell me to shut up for 2 hours as I'm doing my job. So it's trying to get a balance. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. So first of all, it's quite tragic up until, I'm glad that you've got a wonderful family, wonderful husband, and things worked out for you. Because for a lot of people, it doesn't work out that way, of course. And if you're comfortable now talking about Adnan, because an Iranian billionaire arms dealer, that's basically Saudi billionaire arms dealer. I can guarantee you, I'm not going to have a conversation with somebody in a while who's had an ex who's a billionaire arms dealer. And you were saying that you had no idea. And of course, there was no internet. How could you know all the rest of it? And imagining you at 20 years old, he must have turned the charm on. Okay, that's all I'm saying. The charm must have been turned up to 100. And if you feel like we're at a stage now and you're comfortable to get into that, can we go through that period of your life? And
sure.
Just
yeah,
because
I'm actually writing my book and editing it like at least 100 times really desensitized me to the trauma involved with that part of my life.
Yeah.
Now the Gerald part, they did a police investigation in Paris. We did it, and we tried to charge him with rape. There's a documentary about it called Scouting for Girls. But that, I didn't think I could be traumatized by that, but I was. When the investigator questioned me, I broke down, and I thought I was over that. But I feel that I'm pretty comfortable with talking about.
Just to be clear, you don't have to discuss anything at all that you're not comfortable with. People can go and read your damn book, okay? Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's not about.
I won't. I've learned how to be quiet.
It's not even so much about you being quiet either. You can really hint at things without having to say a lot of things. You know, and I don't want you to be uncomfortable, and I certainly don't want you to relive anything horrific. So feel free to give us the PG-13 version of all of this. So
sure.
Yeah.
So what do you want to know?
Well, right. So, well,
where do you want me to start?
For me, it's just that what fascinates me is the journey, right? Because if we go through the beginning, that's where the warning signs and the lessons can be learned. Okay.
Right.
All the horrible stuff that happens isn't really important. It's how to avoid and how to be aware for anyone else that this could happen to, in my personal opinion.
Right. Okay.
I mean, the fact that you had a court case for him being an R word and all this kind of stuff, right?
Right.
It's pretty horrific. So
I don't know how many women. I'm thinking 24 of us or 30 of us.
And he referenced you all as pleasure wives, right? That's what you were known as, right? I mean, am I right?
Adnan. Oh, I'm talking about Gerald Marie. That was the rape case. The rape case was in Paris for my French agent of Paris planning, later the president of Elite Models. And he raped several of us, and we tried to charge him. And
I'll tell you.
there's still some cases ongoing regarding that.
This might sound a bit much, but would you be interested in doing a part 2 about that? Because that sounds like something that needs more, like that needs the same amount of time and attention on. Because
well, there is like I said, there's a 3-part documentary on it on YouTube. It's kind of hard to find, but it's called Scouting for, I think it's called Scouting for Girls, and it's Sky did it.
Okay, yeah, it's frustrating because there's a band called Scouting for Girls, and they were massive at one point.
That's funny. Oh my
Scouting
God.
for Girls documentary.
And I think it might say like the ugly side of the fashion business or something.
Or fashion. Oh, here, there we go. I found it.
You found it?
Yeah, Scouting for Girls.
So there's 3 parts, and that explains the whole thing.
Scouting for Girls. I found a trailer for it.
Yeah.
So look, there's a trailer I found. Scouting for Girls, Fashion's Darkest Secret Sky.
There's 3 parts, and I think I'm in part 2 and 3. My husband's in it too, poor guy.
By richest.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, sweet. I'll share that link. I think this is either part 1 or maybe this is all the parts. But I'll share the link for everybody, and they can certainly go and get caught up with that. Because when I was looking for it earlier, I was like, oh my God, all I'm getting is band music videos. So right. And just to remind everyone, Jill's links are in the description. If you guys can make sure you're liking and sharing and doing all that good stuff for the podcast, I would really, really appreciate it. And yeah, I think just because tonight's so focused on Adnan, and I don't want us to rush over anything, I think a part 2 covering that evil monster, you know, we can go in pretty hard on him. And of course, if there's anybody else, you know, that's involved that would want to come and give their side of the story too, be more than happy to.
I know lots of women.
Yeah, well, anything I can afford.
The beautiful thing that came out of writing my book, which I didn't know at the time would happen, of course. I just was like, I've got to tell this story. I'm going to tell the truth. And people were like, oh, you're going to be killed. You know, it was Adnan, you know, and I did get death threats, but I haven't been killed yet. But I did it anyway. And I didn't know what the cost was going to be. But what the beautiful thing that happened is I met so many women that the same thing happened to them. And we were brought together by a journalist in England, and we all sort of met each other and started meeting on Zoom every week for about 3 years. And now we stay in touch. We call each other, and you know, they're amazing women. They're all accomplished women. They're doctors and media personalities and great mothers and makeup artists, and, you know. So anyway, so Adnan, so I met him at the party, the pirate party. And I was, you know, everyone's just drinking. Look at him there.
Just want to say, this is the most
plane. Is that the plane or the boat? Looks like
I don't know what it is, right? But that table,
I don't know what it is.
Right? That table is ridiculous. Okay, ridiculous. Okay,
that was his style. He had like this modern 80s style.
No, I know exactly what he was going for with that table. That was that psychological innuendo.
Oh, ew. Yeah, right.
Oh, exactly. Yeah,
yeah, God,
exactly.
So
but mad.
So, so anyway, we were at a party, and I was having a ball, just drinking champagne, and then I wrote it in my book in detail, but I think he came over to me and asked if I wanted to dance, and we started dancing, and I was just having a great time, and him and a pirate ended up picking me up by my hands and my feet and like swinging me like a child over the bonfire, and you know, you're take a drink of your champagne, throw it in the fire. Sure. We started throwing chairs in the fire. And we were just destroying this restaurant. It was an outdoor restaurant on a cliff in the dirt. So we just destroyed it. And it was so much fun. And I was used to going to Greek restaurants in Paris where I would do that with my friend Susie.
Okay.
But not that extreme. But we would break plates and, you know, dance with the waiters and things like that. So that was that on steroids. So anyway, he wanted me to go back onto his yacht, and my agent, Pamela, pulled me aside and said, do you know who you're dancing with? Don't you know who you're dancing with? And I'm like, I don't know, and I don't care. And she said, well, he wants you to go back on his boat with him for coffee. And I said, I'm not going on a boat. I'm tired. I really wanted to go to bed by the end of that party. And she says, well, the boat is out there in the ocean, like in the sea. That's his boat. And she points to this boat that looks like it's all lit up. It looks like the Queen Mary. And I go, like, I don't care what it is. That sounds creepy. I'm not going.
Yeah.
So went back to the hotel. And then the next day I was invited onto the boat for lunch.
Okay. Daylight, less scary, a little less creepy.
Yeah. And Pamela said, I'm going to go with you. Let's both go. It'll be really fun. So I said, okay, if you go with me, then that's fine.
Sure.
So we went, and that's when I met Adnan the second time. And of course, Victor and Anna were there. And Victor was, there's no nice way to put it, but it was like he was his pimp, because Victor worked, I don't know if pimp's the right word, because he didn't have his own hookers, but Victor found women for Adnan.
Okay.
He did it for him, so that Adnan didn't have to do it. So Victor could contact the model agencies and get the women. And then later in my book, which I didn't even realize that it could have been Epstein, but later at the end of our relationship, I see Victor and Adnan picking out girls from a black notebook.
Okay.
And I think it was probably sent by Epstein when I look back.
Wow.
And my second agent in Paris, Jean-Luc Brunel, worked with Epstein, provided women for Epstein, and was also charged with human trafficking, and was in jail in Paris and found hung the same way Epstein was. People don't talk about that, but the French model agents were very involved with human trafficking.
Yeah,
and it's not just Jean-Luc.
I'll be honest, the whole fashion house of France has a long history of horrors. I'm not going to lie. Keep in mind, the age of consent in France was 14 up until recently. And there was no laws against a child. As long as your brother and sister were children and not adults, there was no a law against them having relationships. It was odd. There was a lot of weird French laws. And then you look at what happened with Balenciaga, like 3 years ago, with their little kids in bondage outfits. There is, I delved into France and their history about 3 years ago.
There's a lot of incest, right?
There's a lot of weirdness. Okay, now I'm not saying anything about the Prime Minister of France or his wife. I just want to. I don't need any French assassins coming after me. Okay, but it's a very peculiar scenario. It always has been with France. I
got attacked in France a lot. I would get guys would call me up for a date. And it got to the point when I was living in Paris that I would literally say on the phone, I'm not going to sleep with you. Do you still want to go out to dinner? And then they'd say no. And I go, okay, great. Bye.
Yeah. Cut to the chase, man. Cut to the chase.
Yeah.
It's wild. And again, if you want to see that series, a 3-part series, it's on my channel, ProjectROOQ. And yeah, we delve into it. I think the fashion industry has had in my personal opinion, I've dealt with a lot of fake child modeling agencies on YouTube and things like this. And
oh God.
Yeah, that's a conversation for another time.
I don't even want to know about that.
When was it you first realized about Anon that he wasn't just a businessman? And what what was his lifestyle like? What was his lifestyle with you? And was there ever any like movie moments where you accidentally walked into a room and it's full of gold bullion or AK-47s or anything like that? Was there anything that stood out or anything? Because I imagine anyone who wakes up and finds out that their partner is a billionaire arms dealer is going to go, that's quite a lot to deal with. Okay, that's actually quite a,
well, and I
a
didn't
bomb.
even know that, you know, at all. So
Yeah.
it happened gradually. I was exposed to his world gradually. But eventually, oh, and Ron, I'm going to have to get a cracker or something at some point.
Listen, get a cracker or something at
Let
some
me go
point.
get a cracker.
Yeah, you need a snack break, Jill.
I'll be right
You go
back.
get a snack.
Because here it's lunch and my stomach's.
Yeah, go get a snack, man. It's all good.
I'll-
It's all good.
okay.
Ron will just talk about himself for a minute. There's nothing that he enjoys more.
Do that.
Yeah, I will. I will. So listen, everybody, I think after the main show tonight, we're going to delve over onto my channel, have a little chat with everybody. So make sure you're liking and subscribing over there. Slightly different vibe over there than the Sean Atwood channel. We're going to have a little chat. We're going to talk a little bit about the Christmas album that we're going to make over there using the AI and have a little bit of a good time and talk about some gaming and some new streaming stuff that I want to do, because Ronald has... 2025 has been an interesting year. That's all I can say. And I really want to try and end the year on a better and more positive routine. Jill, have you seem to have located your cracker? Okay.
I have a cracker.
If you want, you can turn your camera off if you want, if you don't want to eat on camera, but please feel free. Ron, please read some of the comments. Ron's reading all the comments.
Do you want me to eat on camera?
Yeah, you can eat on camera. Yeah, listen, man. You're all good. We're all friends here.
My husband made almond flour, blueberry banana pancakes yesterday.
And he bakes. Yes. Okay. Hell yes.
You want to marry him too.
Listen, why not? All right, why not? 2025. Let's go for it. Let's try something new. But again, you were saying how it was sort of gradually. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
That any criminal, I mean, is he a criminal? Is arms dealing?
Well, he was. Okay, so eventually, and I didn't read that much about this because it happened after I was not with him anymore.
Yeah.
But eventually, I don't know that I'm saying this correctly, but I believe he was indicted for money laundering Imelda Marcos's money.
Okay.
And what's weird is I saw this YouTube video recently.
Okay.
It said that Jeffrey Epstein was Adnan's money manager.
Yeah, I'd seen something along that too. Let me actually go and cross-reference that with my wonderful AI assistant, and we'll see exactly what comes up, because I was under the impression that there's a possibility that Epstein was the finance or one of the money men. Was Epstein involved with Adnan? Wow, Khashoggi.
Yeah.
Okay, let's find out. I'm sure that that's what I'd read.
Yeah.
Okay, multiple sources describe Adnan Epstein as one of Epstein's early clients. Epstein apparently ran financial consulting asset recovery firm Intercontinental Assets Group, IAG, in the early to mid 1980s as part of a business model, helping very wealthy clients, including Agni, recover money handling complex. Adnan, yeah. Well, I mean, they're referring him by his second name, which I struggle with, Khashoggi.
Khashoggi. Okay.
Yeah, I can put it on the screen for you. There we go. So let me make it a bit bigger too. Hang on.
Okay. Financial consulting.
Some investigators' commentary suggests that during that period, he had a vast and often opaque international arms deal and financing operations have been required. Financial fixer. I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it was all the same world. These were people that were in power. These were the people that were running the world, and without us knowing. So I'll tell you about a few things that'll give you a hint. You asked about, well, let me back up. I'll try to go through the story like kind of quickly so you can kind of see how it links together. I started dating Adnan. I started seeing him in Paris. And then he took me to Spain, and I turned 21 in Spain, October 19th, and he was gone the night of my birthday. Okay. And when I was researching for my book, I found out that, and I don't know if this is what I read, was that Oliver North and Adnan, that everyone is meeting in Paris to set up the Iran-Contra deal that would make it to where the hostage, there was hostages, was it in Iran? Anyway, the hostages would not be released until after the election in order, because if the hostages were released, Jimmy Carter would have got reelected.
Okay.
And Ronald Reagan, Adnan, for whatever reason, wanted, well, I know why, wanted Reagan to be elected, because I'm putting this together now. This is just me.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay.
But shortly after, so I'm getting ahead of myself.
It's okay. Don't worry.
The hostages were not released before the election.
Okay.
And anyway, Adnan has this meeting in Paris with Oliver North and other people from the Middle East, people from our government, and he negotiates some deal.
Okay.
That's on my birthday, and he was gone on my birthday. Then he came back to Spain, and then we all ended up going to Africa, to Kenya. And when we were in Kenya, I think maybe he came back to Kenya from Paris. But anyway, in Kenya one night, we were having this like pre-dinner party, cocktails, and, fancy, everyone in couture, of course. And they were talking about how they knew that Ronald Reagan was going to win the election.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, how do you know he's going to win the election? And they're like, well, we just know. But he had just come from meeting with these international people and making some deal to not release the hostages until after the election.
Okay.
So he probably gave Reagan a ton of money for his campaign. And then people were like, why don't you run for president, Adnan? And he's like, well, I can do so much more behind the scenes if nobody knows I'm involved. So I don't want to be a public figure. Well, he wasn't born in America anyway, but that was what they said.
Hey, listen, nothing more appealing to a politician or a warlord than an arms dealer who can supply whatever side needs to be supplied for whatever political push, and the politician being able to keep their hands clean. It's a very alluring thing, especially when it comes to foreign nations. And I mean, Africa's not short of a warlord, you know what I'm saying? Good business out there.
Well, he was a negotiator and he just loved doing deals.
Yeah.
And he told me, like, career advice. He said, because he knew I had to work. He knew I love working, and he would always try to talk me into stop working, just travel with me. And I'm like, no, I gotta work. And he says, go into sales. Sales is that you can get as big as you want with sales. You can, and that's what he did. Okay. So he started by importing, I believe it was Chevy trucks from the US to Saudi Arabia. And then it was tractors. Then it was Boeing airplanes, or Boeing, maybe it was Boeing or Hughes aircraft.
Get into sales, start selling Boeing airlines. I mean, that's like, I'm not being funny.
That's what
I did. At what point do you go, this guy's got some money? Do you know what I'm saying? But I mean, that's pretty, I mean, listen, I'm not being funny. I mean, it sounds
so this is like coming to me gradually.
Okay.
And the place we stayed in Vegas, so I started seeing him in Las Vegas eventually, and I came back to the US. And the place we stayed in Vegas was given to him by Howard Hughes. So he was involved with Hughes aircraft also. And then one night we were in bed where we would like sequester ourselves in a room for days, just having a blast.
Sure.
And he said, I just sold, I think he said, I just sold 8 million or 8 AWACS to Saudi Arabia, I think it was. Wait, you have to look it up. I looked it all up when I wrote my book, but he did these deals with this really high-tech aircraft that I think was tied to the whole meeting with Oliver North and everybody with the Iran-Contra thing in Paris.
Yeah.
But he was able to then make this huge commission on I think it was $8 billion. I can't remember.
It's a lot of money.
AWACS. I don't know. So I was starting to see this stuff. And then I'm like, well, why are you selling war equipment?
Yep.
Don't you feel bad about that? Why are you doing this? And he said, well, every nation has the right to protect itself. And I was like, well, I guess that's true. And then he said, and when there's a catastrophe, I send supplies. I send food and blankets and medicines to places that need it. So he sort of like was justifying what he was doing.
You know what it sounds a lot like to me? Like he was deeply involved in international smuggling. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like for every box of blankets that got sent over, there was probably some arms or some women or some explosives. Everything that, because for me, having somebody who is facilitating deals to send 8 aircraft, I don't know what, because it's always very interesting when you look into what the laws and legislation are on planes that have been purchased leaving for the destination that they've been purchased to, and what the rules are on if they're filled with anything or if there's passengers or anything like that. It'd be interesting to look into that, because
I didn't get that feeling. I got the feeling that it was just the hardware, the military hardware.
Yeah,
I didn't get the feeling that there were like drugs hidden in it or anything like that.
Well, yeah, but you got to understand, if somebody can justify selling arms, they can definitely justify setting up jobs where they facilitate the transportation of a lot of things. And now I'm not saying he's guilty of any of that.
Oh, he could have done anything that he wanted. He knew everybody. He knew everybody. And that's what's weird, is that I was seeing how in Kenya that night when they were talking about that Reagan was going to win the election, I was thinking, oh my God, people watch the news and they think that that's all that's going on. They don't know about this meeting that they just had.
Yeah.
Nobody really sees this.
Nope.
And it's all happening behind the scenes. And that's what's going on now with like the Epstein files and everything else. People aren't aware of the secret deals that are being made.
I think
and it's the same powerful people with money and power.
Yeah, I think they screwed up by giving us the internet. They really did. Like, they screwed up by giving us the internet, because I'll be honest with you, like, there's 19 and 20-year-olds who are close to maybe being millionaires off the internet, who fully understand everything. They understand the lies. They understand the global PDF rings. They get it. They really get it. And they're going to bring their children up and telling them all about it. And we're going to go into this future generations where the walls are closing in on these people now. They really are. I
hope so.
And with how quickly people can lose everything with an accusation online now, the younger generation is very aware of a lot of things, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. You know.
Yeah.
But okay, what I found really interesting was you said that he was very encouraging for you to start your own businesses and do what you want to do and all of this. Was there any element of control? Did you feel trapped?
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like this was, as far as a relationship goes, this was a real deal relationship, right?
It was pretty amazing, because at that by the point that I fell in love with Adnan, and I fell in love with him, I wasn't held as a slave.
Nope.
God, I just lost my thought. I think I have low blood sugar.
That's okay. No, it was because, you know, when you hear these horrific stories, there's often this massive element of control. You can't miss it. And when you said that he'd helped you get the skills of planes and things.
When he made a deal, he would not kiss me until he made a deal with me that he would take care of me for 5 years, and that he wanted me to be his pleasure wife, you know, whatever that was. And he explained the whole situation. And by that point in time, I believed that all men were cheaters. All men were cheating on their wives because they were trying to cheat on their wives with me. And so I didn't trust him anyway. And I was thinking, well, at least he's honest about it. He's seen other women, but he's telling me what he's doing.
Yeah, it's a sugar daddy. I mean, it's a sugar daddy mindset.
But not really, because I wasn't interested in his money.
No. So, but what I'm saying is, when you're talking about the discussion that you had in 2025.
Well, that's what he wanted. He wanted me to feel that he was providing for me, but I was
Yep.
telling him, you don't need to tell me that because I don't need your money.
Sure.
Because I was always wanting to make my own way.
Yep, I'm with you.
I
I wasn't trying to offend you. It's just
no,
in
no, you didn't.
2025,
I'm just being clear.
the terminology sounds very similar to what
Oh yeah, it is.
that is.
And I think that he was that for a lot of women who
Yeah, there you go.
wanted that. Oh, he absolutely did that for lots of women.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny.
But I was like crazy independent, and
Yeah.
I didn't want anyone telling me what to do. So he wouldn't dare. He just wasn't like that either.
Mm-hmm.
He had a great personality, and he wasn't controlling or anything.
Okay.
And he said, date other men. I don't care if you date other men. Just please don't date other men from my country.
All right,
Because that would be embarrassing.
So, I mean, he laid it all out. There was no
He did.
smoking daggers there.
Yeah. And he even said, don't fall in love with me. I'll introduce you to a duke or a lord. You should marry a duke or a lord. And
this is not how I thought this was going to go, Jill. It's part of your story. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
I was free.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you. I've heard multiple stories from women who are about your age who were models, and one in particular used to be a graphic design client of mine. Almost identical story. Famous guy. He said, "Listen, for 10 years, I'll support you. This, that, and the next thing." And of course, I'm sitting there like, "What is she? What? This was back in the MySpace days. This was before I got into any of the exposing." And I remember how I reacted to that back then, because it was quite an icky reaction. I was like, there's people out there just going up to models and saying all of this and getting them trapped in these lives. And I mean, her story was a bit horrific, I'm not going to lie. So your story with Adnan, it was more the man behind the man than the man that you knew that is the problematic side, right? The arms dealing, the suspiciousness, maybe the whole Epstein thing. Was there ever any inclination that you had that he was guilty of some of the things that Epstein was guilty of? Was there ever any inclination of that, or was it just beautiful women for him?
Yeah. And they were, the only time I saw like really young women was one meeting in Paris at a dinner, and Pamela from my agency, Paris Planning, she brought she brought, I don't know, like 6 other girls besides me to his mansion where I was invited to have dinner with him. They were young. They looked like they were in high school. But he was interested in me. But the other times that I saw other women, they were all about my age. They were, we were over 18. There was no
let me just circle back
situation.
So that when you were invited over for dinner and there was these younger women there, who were they there for? Was there any other men there? Was there any?
No.
So,
the agency brought them over. We were there because Pamela brought us there.
That is, I'm saying that it's a one-time thing, and it was something that your agency done. We can't really pick holes in that, to be perfectly honest.
Wasn't a one-time thing.
It wasn't a one-time thing with the young girls around.
Oh, you mean with Adnan? I thought you meant the agency sending women.
No.
No. So then one time I was on his boat in the Mediterranean, and I see my friend, and a whole boatload of girls comes onto the boat to party, and it was some lady, I don't know who she was, maybe it was Ghislaine Maxwell for all I know, but some lady was like in charge of like 25 women, and they all came into the disco and started dancing. And then I'm like, oh my God, that's Shelly from LA. We did a commercial together. Oh, that's, hey, how are you? But they were not young. They were my age and some even a little bit older.
Okay.
It wasn't, they were all there on their own free will. It wasn't like children at all. Never saw something like that. Thank God. Oh my God, I would have seen that right away. And
well, the reason that I ask is sometimes people will put you in a scenario where they want to see your reaction to younger men, boys and girls, basically, to see your reaction, to gauge your reaction. But if it just happened once and it was actually your agency that brought those people, it's not worth even trying to pull at the thread of, in my opinion. So
yeah, no, it was never like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Never.
And the Epstein stuff, I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, the black book that you were talking about, and obviously this monster that we're going to talk more about in part 2. Do you think that there's enough for you to have the opinion of maybe they were picking girls from Epstein's book? It sounds a lot like that to me, but
You know, it could have been. I didn't look at the pictures well enough to
sure.
see how old the girls were, but I don't remember seeing anyone childlike. And I was thinking that it was women from, you know, at that time, I assumed it was women from a model agent, like my first agent, Judith
Sure.
Fontaine, who worked for Playboy before
Okay.
me,
Yeah, yeah.
who just knew a lot of, there was a lot of girls in Hollywood that would hang out at the Playboy Mansion. They were not successful at modeling. You know, back then women were barely starting to have careers and were able to be independent financially. So there was a lot of girls that maybe were raised in not great homes and didn't have the resources financially. So they would like to meet a rich actor. So they
Yeah.
would go to the Playboy Mansion to party, and in hopes of meeting a like Rob Lowe or a Charlie Sheen or somebody who was successful that they could date and
Sure.
marry. So there's the upper echelon of models, the 1%, the Cindy Crawfords. Then there's like a bunch of us who did catalogs and commercials. And then sadly below that was a group of models that would arrive on the boat in the Mediterranean. They would go to the Playboy Mansion. They were like, I hate to say bottom feeders. That sounds so horrible, because it was sad, but they didn't have much to go from. I didn't have much to go on. They weren't successful. So they were, you know, just trying to survive. And I met some of them, like as I was with Adnan Longer, those type of girls ended up seeping into his life. And I was like, oh my God, that's my friend Kathy. And now she's a cocaine addict. And that's this girl, you know, it became like a more damaged girls.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So I was seeing that, and that was not fun. It was really sad. And then there was this one girl who said, God, as long as he'll just supply me with cocaine, I'll be with him. You know, I just want him to give me cocaine and money to make my bags. She was making these ribbon purses, like purses out of ribbon, like she was weaving together. And she just wanted
there's definitely nothing suspicious about a coked up former model sitting alone in her house weaving bags together. Okay, if that's not a cry for help, I don't know what is.
It was so sad. It was so sad. Yeah, it was very sad. But there was a lot of women that didn't have career opportunities that they have now.
Yeah. When you said you would go out on a boat, would you say you were in international waters when you met up with the other boat that delivered the girls? Is that what you said? There was boat?
Well, it was just was it Nice or Cannes?
Okay. Because like 12 miles offshore is basically
Monte Carlo. No. It was just outside the harbor.
Okay.
That's
okay.
interesting. No. Just outside the harbor in Monte Carlo. Because his boat it was too deep. It wouldn't go into
I'll tell you this, Jill, how close international, you could lie low it on your tummy like this out to international waters. It's scary. Okay.
Wow.
No laws, mate. No laws. 12 miles. So if you are a nasty person and I'm a nasty person and we want to get up to some nastiness, Jill, 12 miles, mate. Dunzo. Nobody cares. There's no jurisdiction for nothing.
What about cruise ships?
They're just going about, but if they're in, that's why there's so many pirate issues. Do you know what I'm saying? Because there's not like the sea police. Or, do you know what I'm saying? They've got to leave from the shore.
Yeah.
It's a bit mad, but international. Crazy. I've got a whole theory about Amsterdam's ports, international waters, and a group of men that do horrific things, and it's all on VHS and on Polaroids, no digital footprint. And if you're a fan of lobster, I just want to say, lobsters I can guarantee you, have eaten more bodies from the bottom of the ocean than I care to talk about.
Wow,
Because,
yeah, right.
you know, an atrocity happens in international waters. They get put in a net, a big weight goes on the end of the net, and over the boat they go. And they're now just
Yeah.
getting picked apart by crustaceans and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's real scary. So when you mentioned boats there, I just had to chime in. Apologies again for interrupting, because I know people are going to. I just got to ask these questions because there's obviously a bigger picture to Agnon, right? And I imagine most of it will never be uncovered. But when it comes to the criminal pyramid, the justifications of one crime often go hand in hand with others, especially when we're talking about transporting arms and getting, when we're talking about getting a product from A to B. It would be interesting to see the full scale of what he was involved with, especially when
it
the
would,
EPSTIENs.
Yeah, I bet that's got to be somewhere recorded. I don't know. Somebody knows.
Somebody
And
definitely
I don't
knows.
know if they're still alive, but they know. He dealt in oil, real estate. He wasn't only, but he was a middleman. He liked doing deals.
The best way to be.
He did. And he also, funny thing is, he used to hire girls, he used to hire prostitutes to spy on the men. He would hire them to sleep with the guys he was having the business meetings with the following day to get intelligence on the guys for the next day's meeting.
That is,
and he told me that.
That's
funny.
I wonder how involved Epstein was in helping with blackmail stuff, right? I imagine he wouldn't need any help, but I imagine the girls, the hardest part of that is the girl putting their life on the line, basically being a known whistleblower, right? That guy knows that it was that girl that's given all the information out. So I imagine there's a list of blackmail girls. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you can't have a girl go in under the major duress or the effects of narcotics when you're trying to swindle a millionaire into giving over his secrets. It takes a certain level of whammon to be able to get that information. So I imagine it takes a professional in the blackmail world. Different if I've lured you into a room.
I don't know. I think he just paid them. I just think, and men talk during sex. You could get a man to say anything you wanted during sex.
It can't be. Men can't be that dumb that if you're a billionaire with secrets, if you're a billionaire with secrets, and a random woman's in bed with you, and you're like, so, what are the launch codes? And you're like, well, the first launch code is 94621. Like, who's doing that? How dumb and how?
No, I don't think they're giving launch codes, but I don't know. I don't think it would be. He would get enough to like get a feel for something. I don't think they're giving launch codes and details like that, but he would get a feel for what kind of person they were, or what would make them uncomfortable, perhaps, or personality traits.
Or if they've got
doesn't have to be facts. It could be like
knowing what their weird kinks are is probably blackmail enough for most people. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you know, that's spicy. That is spicy. That's espionage. That is espionage. Okay. And do you know what's interesting? When we start talking about the mindset of blackmailers, they are 0 F's given. One of the top 0 F's given mindsets, because it's straight up destruction of life for personal gain. It's a very dark group of people.
Oh God, tell me about it.
But it's fascinating because, you know, if we were talking about just your relationship, it doesn't sound like you've got much of anything negative to say. Or are we getting to a negative part, or was the relationship just good and then it just was over?
Well, once I figured out that he was purchasing girls and that I was purchased, I couldn't see things the same way. And I was with him for about 1.5 years. During that time, I was evolving and growing, and I was raised atheist. I wasn't allowed to go to church or ask about God. And so I was searching spiritually, because I had realized, you know, when I was in Paris, I had this big eye-opening experience, which I wrote about in my book, but I had this eye-opening experience where I knew I could make it because I was getting the covers of magazines. And when I found the magazine palette, ripped it apart, saw myself, I was like, I don't even want this. And if I allow this career to keep going, they're going to control my life. I think it's crazy now, flying over, 3 different countries a week. What's going to happen when I'm the 1%? I felt like that was possible. Whether it was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe I was never good enough for that. But I felt a taste of that, and I got really scared, and I felt that I wasn't grounded enough to handle that type of success.
Well, I think you would have made it. You've got that 90s look. You remember the girlfriend in Wayne's World?
Yeah.
Remember the movie Wayne's World? You know what I'm saying? You got that kind of eyes and jaw. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. But listen,
it scared me. So, and then I also realized that I had this feeling that I've been chasing this dream of making it, but I realized making it doesn't change how I feel inside.
Mm-hmm.
So the fame was not satisfying. And I think a lot of people that achieve fame have said that too. But I knew that from experience. I felt that it doesn't change my life.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was around all of Adnan's money and couture clothes and, limos and whatever else, right? This whole lifestyle. That didn't make me happy. It didn't make him happy. He would cry in my lap. It didn't change his life for the better. And it was this dog-eat-dog group of people that he sadly was surrounded by.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to hate being with those people, and it got worse and worse. And so I figured out that fame didn't do it for me. Money didn't do it for me. There's got to be something else. Is there an invisible world that I just can't see? What is there? So I started studying all these different religions, which led me to a kind of a breakdown because I really opened myself up to too many things at once. But I landed okay and felt like I found peace. I felt that I found God. I found peace. I still don't understand what God is, but I definitely found a spiritual peace, which was a whole journey in itself. But it was during the time I was with Adnan. So I started talking to Adnan about what had happened to me. And this gave me independence because, I had been calling Adnan's psychic, Adnan's hypnotherapist, so I started, it's going to sound nuts, but I started to hear this calm voice. Like I would start to call the psychic, and then, because I was getting neurotic about what was going on at this time. And I would hear a calm voice say, "You don't need the psychic, you have me now." And I'm just like, okay, that's weird, but I felt peace. So, all right. And then one day I was driving to the hypnotherapist's house in Hollywood or Studio City, whatever. And I heard the same thing. "You don't need to do this. You've got me. I got you." And then within like 3 weeks of this like spiritual situation, I had like total peace in my mind and inside. And so once I had that, I felt independent. I didn't feel like I had to be, it was crazy because no one could really rock my peace anymore. So
do you think you found comfort in putting your faith in something that couldn't hurt you?
Yeah, exactly. And it was actually helping me because it was giving me peace instead of confusion.
That's freaking,
because I was reading all these things and living in a lifestyle that was causing confusion. And yeah, definitely. And I don't know if it was like the AA thing where find your higher power. I don't know what God is. I think all religions are kind of similar personally. But I still pray, I meditate, there's been so many times in my life where I'm just like, are you there? Because I have suffered a lot. I've gone through a lot.
I feel like there's more to your story with voices and being guided and seeing things than you're comfortable usually talking about, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I think there's parts of what goes on with you that you'd rather weren't there and you try and ignore.
Well, I wrote about it in my book. If you
just
want to
want you
know
to
what
know,
happened.
I'm a pagan witch. I'm a very proud pagan witch, and this whole channel is a diverse group of spiritual people, and I very much believe in all the gods, and I believe I've figured it all out. Okay, like the knowledge
Good
that
for
I've
you.
unlocked is wild, and it's fascinating because so many people, when they go through trauma, so many people, when they look for something and choose religion, they use it as a mask. Okay, they use it as a mask to avoid dealing with their trauma, and it's usually what creates a collapse in them. And hearing your story, where it was what gave you this profound push, right, to re-find yourself, because
okay, but
faith in something that couldn't traumatize you.
Okay, but the difference is that during that period when I found God, or whatever God is, when I found spiritual peace, I wasn't in a church or a cult or any kind of organized religion.
Okay.
Now, later in my life, when I went to church with my first husband, oh man, I got in trouble there because they were telling me what to do. And they were like really pushy about it. Like, if you have sex with your boyfriend, you're going to hell. You've got to marry him. You've got to marry him, And so that was actually why I married my first husband, who turned out to be really mentally ill and a drug addict. He died of AIDS when he was 45.
Damn.
So I don't want to be, I'm not a fan of those pushy churches, that try to run your life.
I'm with you.
And there are people that go there looking for family and looking for a sense of home. And I think I was doing that also because I didn't feel safe with my own parents. So I wanted
just to be clear, you'd found peace in something that you believed wouldn't traumatize you. You start going to a church, and the leader of the church tells you to marry your first traumatic husband.
Right. It's
nice
true.
One, church. Big shout out to the church. Well done. Well done.
And wait till you hear this. When I went back to the church 4 months later after the wedding and said, he's being abusive to me. He's screaming at me for 2 hours straight. He's raping me. They said, you know what they said to me? They said, just love him with God's agape love. And one day he will love you back like Christ loves the church. That's what the counselor told me. Then I had a baby, and he was getting worse and worse. By that point, he had held me up against the kitchen counters or kitchen cabinets by my throat. And this guy was 6'4", 230 pounds. He was an ex-football player. He held me up and he says, I could kill you so easy. All I'd have to do is just squeeze. And anyway, I got out of the house, and I went to the church on my way to Las Vegas to go see my grandmother because I had to get out of there with my baby. I'm holding my baby. I'm in the church office, and there's the senior pastor. I'm sure he's dead now, Pastor Romaine, at Calvary Chapel in Costa Mesa. And I'm crying, and I'm just like, I got to talk to somebody. I've just been, and he goes, I said, can I just talk to you? Can I please talk to you? And he had counseled me before. Wrongly. So I told him what had happened, and he goes, stop. He says, you're crying right now. The fact that you're crying right now means you don't have faith. If you had faith, you wouldn't be crying. And I turned around, drove to the airport with my baby, flew to my grandma's house. And then on the plane, I just remembered thinking, I've been trusting in humans at that church. I can't. Why have I trusted in humans?
That's straight up brainwashing, Jill.
I know.
Brainwashing. And I'm not being funny, but when
I'm
you
not either.
when you talk about your ex-husband, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but it sounds a lot like similarities with your dad. Like
100%.
6'4".
100%.
Okay, so we're still in that level of
I wasn't healed.
subconscious
I hadn't
control.
gone to that therapy. I hadn't
Yeah,
been
you've come
healed
up,
at all.
you've rebuilt yourself spiritually, and you've taken a step forward and assumed that this new version of you is safe
Yeah,
because you found
exactly.
something, and you go straight back into a world
Into
of
hell.
damn.
You're right. That's exactly what happened. Okay. Then I did it again. I started several big companies, including ROXY,
Yeah.
and got with another abusive guy.
Okay.
Who
was it similar
and
to
so
your dad again?
what?
Was there similarities to your dad again? Was he
Oh
6
yeah.
foot? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big
Okay.
guy, had all the answers.
Mhm.
He
Charisma.
was charisma, super intelligent, just like my dad. Had everything under control. Knew all the answers. It was great because like he could make decisions, and I was an overwhelmed single mother with running these big companies, and for somebody to go, hey, you know, you want to go to Aspen? I'll plan the trip. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, you do it. That'd be great. But a few months into it, I found out he was abusive. And by the point that I found out he was seriously abusive, I was pregnant. So I had to go through I went through a 15-year custody battle with him.
Oh
He became
God.
a stalker. He was charged with stalking me in the courts. It was gnarly.
Gnarly
Yeah.
is an understatement. Okay, I
It
just
was
want to say
horrible.
that I love your use of gnarly. You said it twice in the interview, and I'm so
LA.
here for it, man. I'm
I was
so
in the
here
surf
for it.
business, okay?
That's okay. It's 2025. I was a fan of Ninja Turtles, so I'm with you. Okay, but
Oh,
yeah,
it's a Ninja Turtle word.
let's bring gnarly back, man. I mean, let's bring it back.
I still say it. I'm old.
I'm here for it, yo. But
yeah, but you're right. I went and I found peace, and I thought I was good.
Mhm.
And then I made another huge mistake. But what was happening, and I mean, I see it now, but it was so painful. I mean, I was suicidal when I was pregnant. Just like, what am I going to do? I've got this football player breaking in the window. Is my husband breaking in the window, raping me in the middle of the night? You know, I was just like, I was so helpless, and I had nowhere to go, and I couldn't go to my parents, and it was horrible. So yeah. So, and then it happened again with the second abusive marriage, and I, came to my wit's end, and I have so much PTSD. And then I started ROXY, and I left there because I wouldn't sleep with the president. I was attacked sexually at ROXY at Quicksilver, and they didn't support me, even though they knew I was telling the truth. And then after I left, because I'm like, I can't be in the same room with this guy, they had the whole company go through sexual harassment training, and they ended up firing him later because he was doing it to other women as well. So I lost everything. I was supposed to have percentages of sales of ROXY, and I got nothing because I wouldn't sleep with the guy.
I'm not being funny, but
I'm not either. But let me
I'm
tell you one weird thing is the guy that they had as the president at that time was from Iran, another narcissist. And one of the first things he said to me, he goes, you were involved with Adnan. I know you were involved with Adnan. He's from my part of the world. And in my part of the world, women are not managers. You're the only woman executive here. So you better do everything the way I say, or I'm going to close your division down. And it started. And this went on for 6 or 8 months of him, just trying to trick me, shoving his foot up under my dress, across the table.
God.
Follow me around his house at a party, like just.
And did you tell Adnan about this?
Did I tell Adnan? Well, this was after Adnan.
This was after Adnan, because I'm not being funny. Adnan strikes me as the sort of person that, like, I don't know, and how weird is it? I feel like Adnan, your relationship with him is honesty. That it seems to be the nice part of your whole journey.
Where it's true. It's very unexpected.
Right? I mean, that's the plot twist that I never seen coming.
Treated me with respect. Yeah.
I mean,
and when I wanted to leave, he's like, okay, well, who's the guy? Who are you in love with? Tell me about him. what's his family like? You know, he became instantly like father type, you know, like protective.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'm
we
the
stayed
same,
in
Elizabeth.
touch. We stayed
I'm
in
the
touch
same.
too.
Because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Jill. Like coming into this, I thought Adnan was the nightmare factor. But if a man is upfront and honest, he's a billionaire and says, "Hey, listen, you fancy getting in a relationship for 5 years? I'll fund your life." Blah blah blah. Like you said, there was no control. If like imagine you're going out with someone and your partner turns around and says, "I want to get into sales," and they're like, "Boom, go sell some Boeings." That says to me that they're in no way, shape, or form hiding you. They're almost proud of wanting to see you do well. And
Oh yeah, he even wanted to start a Paris couturier for me, which sounds insane, and people probably wouldn't believe this, but he said that he backed Kenzo. I don't know if he financed Kenzo, but he told me that, and he paid the tuition for fashion design school for me so that I could go to fit him in Los Angeles.
interesting, man. I mean,
Yeah, he knew I wasn't going to take his money, and he kept trying to give it to me, and I kept refusing it.
yeah.
And then when he said, "Okay, if you're not going to take my money, let me buy you a house, let me," you know, he said, I'm like, "No, my car's fine." I was driving like a muscle car from the 70s. I'd pull up to the Beverly Hills Hotel to
Nice.
see him.
Nice
Coming out the
respect
back.
on that. Do you know what I'm saying? You
I
should have just been
know.
like, "Look, just get me one of those Shelby Mustangs, fully
It was a
minted."
Ford.
Okay.
It was a Ford Fairlane 500.
Yeah. And yet,
But
listen, people are saying most billionaires aren't as nice as Adnan. Sure, but
no.
I'm going to be honest. I imagine they are. I mean, because the 1% of the 1%, you know, I have to say, I say this all the time. Good and bad has to exist in the world for the balance. Evil has no place. And there's a lot of rich people. There's a lot of rich people, and they can't all be twisted and evil. Okay, they really, really can't. Most of them will
Right.
be because of the pursuit of power. But I just, it's interesting
Right.
when we meet what we assume was going to be the villain of the story. Turns out to be a period of your life where some people may criticize it, people may say it's this or that, but it wasn't like you were tucked away or a prisoner. You were given opportunities, and like you said, let me buy you a house, let me do this. It seems to me that that part of your life, is there any regrets that you have from being with Adnan and that whole period in your life?
No. Well, I don't know. No, because I learned a lot. The main thing being that this is such an important lesson that I look back that I learned it as such a young woman.
Mm-hmm.
Money doesn't bring you happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And to learn that at 21, 22 years old, 20, 21, 22, the times where I was with him, is huge, because I can live very simply and be happy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
So
I know
I don't
exactly.
live in fear of not having money. And my desire to make money was to be able to send my son to college, because I was a single mother with a
Sure.
deadbeat dad. So I've never really wanted to, I've never been somebody who like, oh, I just want money, money. I just can't even relate to that. I'm an artist. I love to make art. I create, and I love people. I really love people, and I love connecting with people and loving souls.
Yeah.
Those are the things that really bring me happiness.
Mm-hmm.
But so many people, like even influencers, for example, maybe they're like super motivated by money, and they're just so obsessed with like, gotta make money, which I'm not judging them.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that I know that even if you had all the money in the world, which Adnan even said, marry me, you'll be the wealthiest woman in the world. And that did nothing for me. I didn't even want that. So that was a gift, you know. And if like my husband had gotten laid off years ago, and I'm like, great, I love this, let's move. And people are, you know, like, don't you care that he lost his job? And I'm like, no, he can spend more time with me. Let's just downsize, you know, let's be together. Let's enjoy things. So that changed me. And for that thing with Adnan, I'm so grateful for.
Two questions. First of all, how much time in that relationship were you with Adnan? Like each day, was it 24/7 were you together? How much of your life was he absent from on average?
Okay. So when I was traveling with him, I was
Sure.
with him
24/7.
like pretty much 24/7, especially like
Okay.
in Africa, in Vegas, every day, almost probably every
Okay.
night. Yeah.
So
But then I would go to school in LA. So I wouldn't be there all week because I was in school and working, modeling for Teen Magazine while I'm in a harem. And so I'm like doing bikinis on the beach, acting like I'm 16, but I'm
sure.
really in a harem. I find that
Well,
funny.
let me ask you, do you think, and again, I don't want you to be uncomfortable, but was there opportunity for a double life? Was there
For him
opportunity for him?
or for
Yeah.
me?
For him.
Oh, of course. And he was
Yeah.
open about it. I figured, when I started seeing that he was with other women,
Mhm.
it started creeping me out at some
Mhm.
point. And at some point, which I described in my book, it just got where I couldn't take it anymore.
Sure.
And I was becoming more and more of myself. And I was less and less wanting to do what he told me, because he was probably also a father figure. And so it was like at every business meeting / dinner, I had to wear couture. I
Yeah.
had to be up in the middle of the night if he was on a different time schedule for the business dinner at 2 o'clock in the morning for the
Sure.
people who just flew in from God knows where. And
And
so
was
I
he
started
doing that with anyone else? Was there signs of him doing that with other women? Or were you the main girl?
yes,
There was signs.
I felt like when I was with him that I was the main girl,
Mhm.
but there were other women there at times, but I wasn't feeling jealous because he gave me priority.
Okay.
But
Okay.
once it started to change, when I started to change,
Yeah,
as I
absolutely.
started to grow, I think we started to grow apart somewhat. Plus, I was in school all the time. I'd come for weekends. And then towards the end, there was a new girl, and she was younger than me. She probably was like 18.
Okay.
And I made me feel like I'm the old girl. And I could tell he was enamored with her. And I just was like, this is not,
This
I'm
ain't the
not doing
one.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of things that added up to it, but yeah.
Damn. The story is completely fascinating. And
It was going to be made into a movie several times. And
I'm not surprised.
it was. I kept getting people reach out to me from all over the world. But I would be attached to Magnolia Picture, not Magnolia, but people that worked for Magnolia. And then I was attached with Jonah Hill's production company, Strong Baby.
What was the hook for the movie? What was the hook for the movie? Was it just going to be the hidden arms dealing? Is like
I don't know what they were going to, they had a whole plan because they had a screenwriter, a director, they had funding, and then the writer's strike happened, and then the actors' strike happened, and then it was put on hold. While it was put on hold, they lost their funding. So, I mean, we were going, it was like a green light. It was like, we're going.
Damn.
And then they were coming to me with a price, and then, so I don't know exactly their take on it.
Give them a call. If you're watching, get that back on the go, because that sounds brilliant. Like, honestly, I would watch that because honestly, it's so interesting. And when it came to the end, it was you, like, you made the choice to walk away from it. You made the choice because you felt like this new woman, that it just wasn't for you at that stage, right? And any regret? Let me ask you, was there any regrets in the years after
I left?
Yeah.
No, because he offered, I called him years later and talked to him on the phone, and he asked me back. And I said, no, I don't want to come back. I said, I got to make it on my own. This is after I left my first husband and I had my baby. And I said, I got to make it on my own. Just, it's like me. And I got to understand if I can actually have faith in God, that God will provide for me or help me, whatever it was I was trying to find. And I wanted to prove that between me and God, we could make it. And I didn't want to depend on anybody else. So I said, thank you, but no thank you. And then we talked again when I'd go to Monte Carlo, and he'd invite me to stay at the King of Morocco's house. I wish I would have done that, but I was working. So I'm like, no, I can't. I've got a fashion show to go to tonight, and I've got to do work tomorrow, you know, and I should have been. And I had a jealous boyfriend at home who was an asshole, and I should have gone to the King of Morocco's house. That's my one regret.
What a trump card for asshole future boyfriend who's annoyed you, and you phone up your ex and you're like, do you know what, Chad, I'm off to stay at the King of Morocco's house, Chad. You can get in your truck. I mean, that is a trump card. So even after all of that,
I wish I had that personality back then, but I didn't. I was very,
I mean, I'm not being funny.
But I came from such an abusive upbringing, and like, it took me so long to get a voice of my own. It took a really long time. And fighting my second husband in court for 15 years. Oh yeah. That's what taught me to fight. And even more than the modeling business, even more than the first husband. That's because it's not for yourself. That's because you're not fighting for yourself. It was your children. I was fighting for my baby. Do you see what I'm saying? Even 100%. That's exactly what it was. When you're making that comparison, you got to understand. No, it's true. That's exactly. I'm aware that that's why I would fight, and I had to fight because it was for her. Yeah, it's incredible what women discover they're capable of after years of putting up with abuse. They freaking lift buses off their car, lift buses off kids, and they fight in ways that if they had done that for themselves, 10, 20 years ago, the world would be a different place. But it's 100%. When women, and again, let's be honest, you were a beautiful model, okay? You had a lot of opportunities that a lot of people didn't have, all the rest of it. And finding that strength as a mother, it's so defining for people, and it puts such a perspective on what you're willing to put up with, It's wild. Right. If we could bottle that, if we could bottle that and just give it to 25-year-olds, right? Yeah, so teenage girls, right? Yeah, and it goes back to that psychology of what we're, we'll give good advice, but we never listen to our own advice, or we're willing to fight for a friend, but we're not going to fight for ourselves. Yeah, it's that human condition. I have friends that they'll wind up in a difficult situation, and I'll say, well, what would you tell your friend to do? Yep. Then that's what you should do. I mean, and I think of it for myself, because I'll still get in weird situations, and I'll think that, I got to think of what I would tell my friend to do. Yeah. No, totally. And it goes back to the psychology of people who've grown up in trauma, right? Going their whole life putting up with, I'm just going to summarize it as bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. Right. Trauma after trauma after trauma, and the only thing that's changed is a chemical that gets released in our brain that science calls it the love chemical that stops us eating our children when we're starving in winter. Okay, it kicks in and it changes you, because all of a sudden the fight isn't for you, and your brain can justify that transformation now, because for the first time you've had something worth fighting for, but you've never realized that you've always been worth that fight because of how much trauma, abuse, control. And I think your story is incredible, Jill. And the fact that you're sitting here, I'll be honest, Adnan's entire legacy, I came into this thinking you were going to be the villain, and I'm not being on it. I'm not going to, I mean, arms dealing is probably a bit sketchy, probably done some sketchy stuff, but the ghost of Adnan, you rest in peace, my G. You rest in peace, because I did not expect it to go this way. And I really don't. He died on my publication date. The date my book came out. That is such a billionaire thing to do. That is such a billionaire thing to do. Do you know what I mean? It really is. And let's just give you one opportunity to touch on any other revelations throughout your modeling career, any other characters. Obviously, the Frenchman we're going to do a part 2 on, because when it comes to true evil like that, I like to make sure we've got high resolution pictures of them, their living relatives, anyone else that is involved that needs to be dealt with. We want to make sure we can put names to faces, because, and not everything, because I know you're writing a book, right? But we can. No, go ahead. I'm not writing about that.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm
Okay,
done with
because
that.
Ron loves to make sure we put faces with horrible monster predators.
Yeah. Well, he's all over the
Oh yeah,
documentaries that we
oh
did.
yeah,
We did a lot for 60 Minutes Australia too.
yeah.
A
Do
bunch
you
of us.
know? It's ironic, right? Because it's on your website here. Okay,
Oh,
so
there it
I
is.
typed in. I was told to
That's
type
Gerald
in.
right there.
Oh yeah, listen. We sadly, I'm familiar with Gerald and his career, shall we say, and I can't remember if Babs was involved with this guy, who's
Who's
another
Bab?
model.
Oh.
Babs is a lady called Barbara. I forget her last name, but she got to the point in her modeling career. She was at that level of maybe 5 million a year for modeling. She was quite rubbing shoulders with
Wow.
Epstein. Our best friends were being kept in houses by Prince Andrew and stuff like this. This was a lady that I said if she'd ever taken a drink off one of them, she probably wouldn't be alive today.
Wow. So
And
she
her
saw
story,
everything.
the stuff that is going on behind the scenes with Babs would blow your mind.
I want to read her book or listen to
Well,
what she's got to
she's
say.
actually currently writing it. What I could do is I could get Sarah to send you my WhatsApp, and I can add you to a group with me, Babs, and a lady called Paula. And Paula and Babs are piecing together so much to do with the elites and names and this, that, and the next thing. And it's quite interesting. Some drama happened behind the scenes, which I can't actually talk about, that tried to derail the whole Babs narrative. But luckily, she's a badass and ain't going to stand for that. Yeah, Barbara Stoyanov. Stoyanov. She looked a lot like Cindy Crawford, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
She had that look with the wee
Stoyanov?
Stoyanov. Yeah, hang on, I'll Google her. Hang on. Was it Stoyanov? Hang on, let me go into this. Everyone can just wait. Okay, you can all just wait while Ron looks up what he's looking for. Okay, because it's important. Just let me scroll through this. Exposing. Here we go. Yeah, Barbara. Here we go. Let me click on this. I'll get you a picture. So this is Babs during the interview here. She's up in the corner here. I'll scooch forward a little bit.
Oh, ST.
And I'll Google her and get you a picture. But
I was just looking for the spelling of her name.
Yeah.
STO.
So here's a picture. Here we go. Here's a picture of Babs.
I see Puff Daddy.
There she is.
We looked kind of similar.
Yeah, you both have a very, like, I'm not surprised you all got preyed upon. Similar look.
Girl. Ew.
Yeah, and here's her start of her story, the same as you, like 17, 18 years old, and getting lured and all the rest of it. It was crazy. And again, your story is so similar. Quintessentially just backlit 80s photo, and again your book there, Jill. So we're hitting that 2-hour mark, Jill, right? And I think we're at a point where the next thing I want to talk about would be the French monster. So it's a good place to kind of put a pin in it for this evening. But
sounds good.
I'm freaking blown away by your I'm always blown away because how many years have you been married now? 26?
27 or 28.
Like, that is so cool. Like, in this day and age, for people to have, you know, a happy ending like that for over a quarter of a century is freaking awesome. You know? And for you,
well, it's not perfect, you know, we all have
listen,
things, but that's life.
Okay.
But yeah, he's
good and
amazing.
bad. It's balanced, but the evil is no longer present. And it's lovely that you have that. It's lovely that you were able.
Amazing. Like, my kids are just like
I'm not being funny. Like, you've gone through a madness, and for you to have come out of that madness, even willing to give another man a chance, even willing to do anything, is crazy.
I went years where I wasn't. After the second divorce, I was like, I am not dating anyone. I'm going to stay single the rest of my life. And it was my therapist that said that I should start dating. And I was never going to I was done. Yeah. So, that almost happened.
So that's interesting. What was your therapist, a man or a woman?
Woman.
Interesting. Because
Yeah.
again, it was an authority figure in your life that told you to go and find a husband.
She was older than me too, and she was like,
Just
she said, I'm single. She was probably in her 60s, and she said, you don't want to be alone when you're my age. And she said, this time you're not alone in choosing a husband or a man. I'll be with you, and I'll help you.
Yeah, but that's what the priest said. That's what the freaking priest said, Jill. Like, I'm not being funny. Like, if I was a little ghost on your shoulder,
I trusted her. I knew her better than it would. Yeah, she was my therapist.
Listen, big shout out to the therapist, because I'm not being funny. If you'd screwed that up, I'd be saying we'd be talking about you by name, Miss
I'd
Therapist.
be dead already. I would be dead already.
And again, how crazy is it? Do you think if your current husband had made the move on you when you originally met him, that would have just been cut to the chase 30 odd years?
Yeah, very possibly. But back then he was he was super shy and nerdy. And here I was, like, traveling the world and international model life. And we were just so different. But at the same time, the guy that I married was an electrician from Anaheim. So, like, you know, but he was, like, charismatic and...
Oh, no, listen, no. Yeah. Your two husbands are psychological results of your abuse cycle, okay? Yeah. There's 100%. They could have been magicians. They could have been homeless dudes in a trailer park. Yeah. Wouldn't have mattered, okay? You were a prisoner to your own cycle at that point. It's so true. You know how mad it is? I'm a dumb guy on the internet, and it's so, like, it's so clear and repetitive in so many survivors that it's not even like I've educated myself on this. It's just when you look at the data of 200 stories and they all have the same things, it's just it's sad, but it's fascinating, because if you're a friend of someone and you know their story and you've opened up to your friends close to you, and I imagine you never did that. I imagine you do that now, but you probably didn't back then.
Correct.
By simply telling your story to people and survivors opening up to people around them, it creates a certain safety net of people being able to identify repeating patterns and problems. You see what I mean? But who the hell wants to sit down with their friends and admit that they're stuck in a cycle? Who even identifies?
Well, they want to admit it when they feel safe and they're in a group of other women or people that they can talk about it with. They do want to talk about it and not feel alone and not feel like they're crazy, you know, or stupid, or, you know, we all beat ourselves up for it. But in fact, it wasn't our fault that we made these decisions based on bad information.
It's not even bad information. We're so far past free thought. We're deep in the subconscious
conditioning.
It's the conditioning
in your childhood.
Because it's so messed up when you think about childhood abuse. When you have a child who has one chemical being released from their brain because it's a parent, and they have this psychological attachment and preemptive of love and safety, and then another chemical protecting them from the abuse for years. Like the comparison I make is when you have
a really good way to say it. It's so Jill, true. That's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah, but Jill, here's the next thing. When people become addicted to non-addictive things like cheeseburgers or porn or chocolate, right? They're addicted to the chemicals and the dopamine that their brain is producing, and it becomes an addictive need. And I wonder on a subconscious level if years and years of chemical injection from the brain is what creates these cycles, because there's this almost old habit that you're getting dragged back into chemically.
Totally. Yeah, I think it's true. I think the big challenge with post-traumatic stress disorder is you know, my daughters have gone to this therapist that she calls it rewiring your brain.
Yeah.
And I want to rewire my brain. I mean, I feel like I've rewired it to a degree with some therapy I've been in, but I'm wondering about new things like psychedelics and things that bring you really deep, and then rewire your trauma to where you're not triggered by it anymore. I mean, I would love that, because I do still have triggers, unfortunately.
Well,
but it's hard to get rid of that. It's hard to get rid of that conditioning.
It's that shadow. It's the
Yeah.
shadow that lingers. Okay.
Yeah.
And on
Yeah.
good days, it's far away. And on bad days, it's lingering over you. And
Yeah.
you know what? It's interesting you talk about psychedelics because I consider myself a bit of a high level alchemist when it comes to certain things. And there is a ritual that takes place with a certain substance. And people are going through these experiences where they're forced to face the traumas. And the traumas are almost become the weapons or become the armor of the people after these experiences.
Oh God,
And
cool. Is that ayahuasca?
that is ayahuasca. Now, here's the problem. Ayahuasca requires about 3 or 4 weeks of preparation, right? It's about flying out to a remote place. It's about going on your fast. It's about, sex, no stimulants, no coffee, certain foods, because you need to flush your body, right? And when you go on this journey, people have spoken about 30 years of counseling and therapy that couldn't achieve what they've achieved.
Right.
Now,
Right.
I'll send some links to Sarah to send to you of YouTubers, right, who've went and done this. And there's a couple of them who their entire world has changed since this.
Right.
And there's the right and a wrong way of doing ayahuasca. So just be aware of that too.
Yeah. I wouldn't look forward to the throwing up part.
Well, listen,
but I'm curious about, like, I heard that Stanford is doing studies with this. I would love to go somewhere locally where I could work with a therapist, do the psychedelics or whatever, and rewire my brain. I would love that.
I personally,
I don't know where to find it. I'm sure I can figure it out.
I'll be honest with you. If you got any close friends who have ever experimented with psychedelics that you trust?
Yeah.
You do, right? I would, my first place would be starting a conversation with them, okay? And getting yourself a group of people that are proactively in support of that, because as soon as you do it clinically, you're going to realize you don't need to be in a clinical setting. And it will expand and change your entire life. Psychedelics are very different from amphetamines or downers. Or there's receptors in the brains that are just there in our DNA for THC and DMT and all of this. And DMT is present in every natural compound, grass, the bark, whatever, the woods, it's all there. But in the human brain, it only ever manifests during REM sleep or right before you die. And it's one of the most powerful psychedelics, and it comes in a chemical or a natural form. And you take it and go on maybe a 12-minute journey, but you've got millions of people reporting the same journey. They see a glowing golden representation of the universe and time. And it's fascinating because they don't want us exploring the inner world of our own mind. They want us stressing and being controlled about the outer world that they control. And I think it would do incredible things. You use words like gnarly. Okay, you're ready. Okay, you are ready.
I'm ready.
100%.
I'm ready to be done with PTSD. I'll tell you that much.
Well, Hawaii has done incredible things with mushrooms and microdosings because of their laws. You can go to Hawaii and have your first DMT or mushroom experience in
I didn't know that.
a very like. There's
Hawaii a lot. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you should check it out. There's a resort for every budget as well, I might add. Okay, and you can go out there. Actually, it was Goop. It was, what's her name? The blonde lady, Gwyneth Paltrow. Yeah, she sent out some of her staff to go and experience the microdosing and the full-on psychedelic therapy, and nobody has a bad story. I mean, I'm sure some of them it might not work or whatever. But when it's done properly, it can be an incredible thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I've done every other kind of therapy, so I would definitely try that.
Yeah, too right. I mean, how mad would it be if a mushroom fixes everything? Like mad.
Do you know what's funny? Is magic. We bought this house that we're in like 4 years ago, and it had magic mushrooms growing on the front lawn. 2 different species.
That's a side right there.
But I'm like, I didn't want them, but it was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I will say, if you've ever tried any other substances, psychedelics are not like that. You are making a contract with a mushroom for 12 hours and you are not in control of that journey. Okay. So it's an incredible And for the people that it works for, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you know,
thanks.
I honestly think that's something you really want to investigate, because
Yeah.
there's the micro dosing with the mushrooms, which is a tiny little bit each day, and then there's the full blown awakening journeys that you can go on. And again, Hawaii, there's centers you can go to. This is very clinical. We're not talking about going and
Right.
finding a crack den, right, and beginning another
Yeah.
horrific
I
chapter.
would want to be somewhere safe.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, listen, that's what I'm saying. In Hawaii, there's one for every budget, you know, from the drum circle on the beach to the clinical 5-star resort and everything in between. And speak to your friends and have a look at communities online, because you ain't the first lady who's wanted to start a journey like this. And
Yeah.
it would be fascinating
to be free.
Well, I would be fascinated in your journey. And if you did do it, I would be encouraging you to vlog the whole thing and come back and make
God,
a
I
documentary.
wouldn't do that.
No, not the mushroom part.
Afterwards.
No, the whole journey of how you feel beforehand, what happens afterwards.
I don't.
Fascinating.
I don't feel the need to share my life.
No, listen. I'm an evil content creator, right? I'm an evil content creator.
See, you like that, and a lot of young people like that. I just can't get motivated to that. And sometimes I think, well, oh, I see this person doing this or that, but I'd rather make art, like with my hands, creating something.
Yeah. Well, listen, there's nothing wrong with sticking a camera on a tripod and time lapse and you doing some art. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Show the world, you know, inspire people, Jill. Your story's inspiring. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You're so nonchalant. You know what I'm saying? I don't want your house. I don't want your billions. I don't want to be on freaking social media. I get it all. But
that's funny.
I'm telling you now, hearing yours, just knowing you and hearing that you're going to possibly go down that journey, I'm so excited to see.
Oh, cool.
If next year
we'll stay in touch and I'll tell you what happens.
Well, we're going to be doing a part 2, Jill. Trust me, Sarah will be on your case tomorrow for part 2, because I would like to get that set up sooner than later, because there is the big part of your life that we want to delve into, and I want to make sure when we're naming and shaming, we're doing it accordingly. But what an interesting chat, Jill. Thank you so much for giving up your time. Like, this has been
great meeting you. I'm glad that we got to work together, and you're fun to talk with. You're very insightful. Oh my God. You can follow the things and just like tie them together.
Yeah, people hate it when I do that. I'm sorry.
No, I like it. When
I can't not.
I'm just like, oh yeah. I love it.
It fascinates me
because it helps me understand what happened.
That's it. It's when I see I'm on a spectrum, and it's data and data points, and I can take the humanity out of it. So it's like abuse, dad, he looked like this, husband, they look like this, authority figures giving you information. And then when it comes to the fight for your kids, it just all changes. And I just want to say again, big shout out to the husband. Okay, let Jill's story give every man confidence to talk to that model at the bar. You might be saving them from a life of hell. Okay, just do it for humanity. Okay, but do it consensually and do it politely. And Jill, till next time, thank you so much. And I just want to say your dog's been incredibly well behaved since you let her in the room. So big shout out. She's taking a nap, man. Yeah. Well, listen, thank you so much, and we'll get everything into the next one. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be live with our friend Nick DJ Petrovsky, diving into 764 and Roblox and child safety and how these companies do not care about our kids. And we'll see you all. Thanks, Jill. Thank you to Sean. Thank you to the mods. Catch us in the next one.